Welcome back to this Mr. YouTube channel. Today we're doing something pretty in-depth, but it's also something I've never done before, so we're just gonna kind of learn together. We are going to be deleting completely VVT on our 3.6 all-motor drag car. If you guys haven't watched this, go back. I'll put a playlist in the description. It's a big build-up. We're trying to make a lot of horsepower, and this is an all-motor drag car. I've been having issues with the VVT moving. It shouldn't be, because it's not even connected, but it's moving. The oil pressure allows it to move. We're going to take the OEM gears apart, which is probably gonna save a decent amount of weight. Like I can't wait to weigh it. We will do that in this video. So we'll be able to do that. And also remember that we got the biggest cams you can get for a 3.6. What we have to do is set this up to the lobe center line. Some other things we're going to do is actually add in a manual chain tensioner. I've been having issues where there's been a lot of slack in the chain. I have great oil pressure, but the VVT, like say you're doing a compression test, it's always low because the VVT is not activated, if that makes sense. Right now I'm just going to start tearing everything down. It's just going to be a time lapse. There's plenty of times you guys see me take this stuff apart, so let's get to it. I have the cam plate in, but remember that is not a holder. That's not a cam holder. That's a cam TDC plate. You get yourself the biggest 1/2-inch ratchet you can, and you break them loose. These are like 74 foot-pounds. Ensure that you mark everything before. So I'm going to mark everything. We have to take these apart. So we're taking these apart and putting the shimmel gears on, but we can still, to make our lives easier, mark this chain, because there is a certain amount of links. I believe it's 16 links between these 2 points on these cams that have to be identical. So just save yourself the headache, clean everything off with brake clean, and paint everything. It's not hard. Look how much slack is in this chain. Cams are at TDC. That's what we're trying to get rid of. Realistically, we should make a decent amount of horsepower. I had a buddy tell me that on a 12 valve picked up 5 horsepower from just taking slack out of the chain, not even degreeing it. And then I've had some other people online tell me that with properly degreeing a 24 valve with these cam gears, they gain 27 horsepower. I don't know if that's anything, but I'm just telling you what people have told me. I'm gonna break those loose and get back with you in a second. So with the phasers out, remember to keep them intake and exhaust. These bolts are all T30s. I am going to use an impact driver. You put it on, whack it, and it'll kind of unscrew. So I'm going to do that, try to get all these off. There it goes. There's that. Just got to do that 9 more times. Obviously you can't get to all these bolts. These are different from one another. I tried to take pictures as best I could, but yeah, these are floating inside. They squeeze together once you bolt it. Kind of get some screwdrivers under and jiggle and wiggle. So you see how there's these pins? That corresponds to the pins on the back of these. And you can already see that the shimmel gears have them. So exhaust, this was exhaust, so this will go like that. Next thing to figure out is how to get these apart. So you got to kind of look at it, see where it is. This portion right here is all one piece. This is the cam phaser. So what I did was I put this in the vise, and I'm only squeezing this lower half. So there, it's coming now. Oh, there it is. So just a couple little jiggles and that thing came right off. So here it is apart. And now look at that gap on either side, so you can advance that much, retard that much. So imagine I'm sitting on limiter, and this thing is just like this. Like, there's so much error that could happen, so many things that could happen, that just getting rid of this is gonna be night and day. I bet you this car is gonna run a million times better, and I'm gonna be able to tune it that much better. And I don't know if you can see, but on this inside ledge, it's really worn, more than likely from just sitting on limiter, because it's just going crazy like that. So yeah, scale out, I'm gonna zero it out. This scale only goes up to a certain amount of pounds. These weigh so much that they max it out if I double them up, so I can only do one at a time. Exhaust 1.43 pounds, intake 1.39. This is Schimmel intake 0.34 pounds. And now the Schimmel exhaust 0.34 pounds. 2.8 pounds, almost 1.2 pounds of rotating mass on the cams. This is gonna just wake it up all on its own. That is a absolute ton of weight. Quick little tidbit, these roll pins are so tight that you cannot just get them on. I set it up in the vise here, and now I'm just kind of squeezing it together. See, and that should be good enough. Don't go crazy, because this is aluminum, it's soft. So we just did enough to where the cam gear will now pull the rest on. I did send Bill an email, and he said this O-ring, do not use it. So I am pulling O-ring out. That's done. Didn't go into detail why not. Leave it out there in the trash. This only goes on one way. This is why it was very important for you to take note. So this is the top of my timing gear, and I also took a picture face on before I took these phasers off, so I knew where the original bolts were pointing up, so I can use it as a reference. Right about there, here's my timing mark, here was my top bolt, here's my cam phaser, how it was adjusted, so I know that this is going to be perfect when I set it in place. Pull this off. I'm going to set all 5 of these bolts in place, but for right now, brush, whatever, and I'm just gonna douse them in Loctite. So at least there will be something on there. I know that at some point it had some. And then I use like a ball Allen and just start them one by one, because if you tighten one down, you're gonna have a bad time. There is no mark on here, and there is no mark on here. So the only point of reference you have is your bolt. It's just how it is. 0 degrees is where I'm setting it, and I'm going to try to measure just for lift, and then if we can do just lift, crack this loose, get our lift, tighten it back up, we'll be good to go. I did opt for ARP bolts simply because these are torque to yield. ARP bolt ones are not, and they're also shorter. I'm still going to torque these to 74 foot-pounds. Just think of a Mark III, 74 foot-pounds, whereas these are like 46 foot-pounds plus a 90 or something like that. 74 foot-pounds are usually pretty safe, so that's what we're going with. We're gonna put some moly grease on this, get everything back together, get everything back in OE time. Then I'll show you guys how to set up the manual chain tensioner. Then after that, that's when we can get to degreeing everything. So we're going to be installing the Schimmel VR6 manual chain tensioner. Now, this can be used for any VR6 car. First, back this all the way out with your fingers. Don't use any tools. Get it all the way out like that. The most important part of this job is this crush washer. Put a little bit of grease on this guy, on the side up, and put it on. What the grease is gonna do is hold this washer in place. So you see that? See how it's not seating right there? I'm gonna squeeze it together On all the other sides it's completely flush. Right here it's not, so I'm going to grab that with some pliers and just pop it down real quick. Pliers, grab it, pop it down. Now we can get it on the car. I'm going to do pretty much everything by hand. There we go. Now we can tighten that up. These don't get torqued much. It's a 27 mil. It's plenty tight. So in the instructions it says finger tight. The guy going and putting tension. Alright, so now this is finger tight. Hand rotate the engine in the forward direction while continuing to finger tighten that bolt. Then I'll go back here, see it went in. Want to rotate some more. See if it moves. There's a little bit. Do some more. I have the spark plugs out to make this very easy to turn. We're almost at the full rotation. Cams are up. We are there. Still tight. No slack in the chain. We're dead on right now. This would be the time now that you put your jam nut on and lock it. So to find true TDC, you need to have a dial gauge dead on the cylinder head. So I have, this is a 24 valve plate, and I just recut the holes or re-drilled the holes so it doesn't interfere with the cam. And then I have a nice magnetic base, and then I have an extension into my dial indicator, and it's on as good of an angle as I can get it. You roll it over to TDC on this normal mark, and then you choose some arbitrary number. So if you want to go all the way to 50, you can. If you want to go 20, you can. But you start at 0, and then you go one direction until it goes to like 20, and then you go back the other way until it gets back to 0, and then it comes back and gets back 20. And then you take those two numbers down on your degree wheel, which I have down here. I just printed out one. I'll have a link in the description for that, but it works really well. You just put in your exact dimensions, put it on there, tape it on there, get some wire, put it right to that. So I've already found my two numbers by going to that 20 and back, but I'm just gonna show you how it looks on here when you find it. So going backwards, you always have to go further. So right now we are after TDC, but now I'm going in reverse. So you'll see the number sweep, and it'll go to about 0, and then it starts coming back around. That's your piston dwell that time. And then you get back to, since I'm going backwards, I'm going a little bit further. Then you put it on tighten, and you bump it right to your number. Then you come down here, find exactly what it is. This says 0. Remember, this I just taped on there. So whatever number's on there, you're just using to add and subtract. So you got 0 right here, and then when I turn it 20 the other way, I get 15. So then you just add those two numbers together, 0, 15, 15, and then you divide it by 2. So then I'm going to turn this until this needle is at 7.5. It's gonna be hard, but 7 will be good enough. And then once it's there, then I know I'm at true TDC. Then we can go to the cams and just mess with the cams all by themselves. So true TDC is there. Continuing on with the degreeing of the cam gears. This is really super confusing. It's taken me a long time to try to even get close to anything. But right now I think we're there. What we're going to be using is this 108 right there, 108 for the center line of the cam, and that 108 just subtract it from 360 degrees, so that got us at 252 degrees. And then we went down here, rotated the engine over, got the pointer right at 252. And this is the first time that we have some sort of an actual measurement. What you're looking for the center line is for the needle on the dial. We have the dial right on the edge of the valve spring, right down there in the rocker. Right now I have it set to 0, and you can see it's pretty much dead even in the middle of the cam gear for that center line. But go ahead, Jamie, and she'll go forward on the cam, and you'll see it come back up. All right, now stop. Now go backwards, and you'll see it come back down. And then as she keeps going, it'll come back again. See? So that fluctuation where it goes down and comes back, that's where you need to find it. Where it stays, that's the center line. So we'll do that again, set that to that center line, and then we'll go do the front cam, and then we'll rotate it over, make sure nothing hits, and show you what it looks like in the end. Now we are on the intake cam, and at TDC with the valve lift open, finding the lobe center line. This is going down, pushing on the rocker. I have it up here on the edge of the rocker. Jamie's going to rotate it until she gets exactly to 128 degrees. And you gotta go nice and slow, that way you get a nice accurate reading. Alright, so she's there, and it doesn't really look like the lift was there. So, alright, we're there at 0. Come over here to the intake cam and crack loose every single bolt. We are in the middle right now, which was good for the exhaust, so let's see what it does for the intake. Just start to move. That's like pretty much maxed out though. Forward.
Up. Go back a tiny bit. That's your pro route right there.
So you would assume that that's pretty dead center with how the cam should have been set up, and this is pretty far up there. Yeah, so that's advanced a lot. Don't know exactly how much, but it's definitely advanced a lot. It's not fully maxed out, so I guess that's good. I guess I did it right. That's what we're gonna go with. I'm gonna double check this again with my eyes down here and her down there, and we'll see how close it is, and then we'll take everything out and rotate the motor over and see if everything's good to line up again. So we just got everything wrapped up. We're now at 0 degrees TDC right there. From a cam plate angle, you can see this cam is way advanced. This one's a little retarded. You can see that that's retarded. You can see there's the negative. So there it is about there. And then there's negative. This is plus. This is about 9 degrees advanced. And this one is about probably 3 or 4 degrees retarded. Everything turns over, so I'm hoping everything's good. It just looks odd. This is the first time I've ever done adjustable cam gears, so I'm just gonna start throwing stuff back together. I do still have to adjust timing now in the ECU with the timing light over there. That's something to do later because it's a pain with when you have coil unplugged, because you got to get a spark plug wire, you got to cut it, shove it into the coil pack. I'm not gonna do it all in this video, just gonna get this stuff on and show you guys when it's done. And also I did get one of those aluminum valve covers. I'm gonna go through this, make sure it's all good. If there's any issues, I'll let you know. If there's any modifications, I'll let you know. See you in a minute. we are going to do a quick compression check just to make sure everything's good all across. We're getting close, but I did want to tell you, I did do a compression test. Before we did these cam gears, I only saw 130 PSI across all 6, dead even. Now, cold, with these cam gears, I'm getting 170 PSI. So now, I have 170 PSI cold. So, theoretically, this might be like a totally different car at this point. I'm really excited. I just gotta change some stuff with some wiring, and then we'll get to firing this thing up. Sounds great. The chop is so great. One thing that's weird is like my iPhone just does not pick up this car's exhaust. Like it's weird. I think it's just too loud. If you're around this thing in person, it sounds absolutely absurd. I love every part of it. One thing we forgot to do, I'll have to insert the clip here, but I did do a 2-step check, and it scared the hell out of me and my wife. Like insulation started falling off the ceiling. But yeah, guys, it looks like everything we did so far. I mean, I'm just revving it, and the highest I got up to is 5,700. That's what my 2-step set to. I got no leaks. Everything's solid. That chain tensioner's dialed. The adjustable cam gears, they seem dialed. I wanted this sound. We got the sound. And with how rowdy and how fast this thing's revving, I think we picked up some power, and we're going to be picking up some power on the track. So I'll probably try to drive it on the street a little bit here and there, but this thing, it quickly escalated to where it's not really good to drive on the street anymore. Yeah, so I'm going to try to get this to the track as soon as I can. There's a big event coming up, Street Wars. I'm going to try to get the Street Wars and try to do an 1150 index. We'll see. If I can get this trans to shift, if I short shift or something, I have to figure out something. But if I can short shift, no doubt we're in the 11s, maybe 11.8, maybe 11.7, and that's with our old power band. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to be. We might have just picked up a good amount of power, guys. So I'm real happy. I'm real excited, and I cannot wait. So if you guys like what you saw today, give me a like, comment, and subscribe. Check out other videos. We have a ton of other videos on the channel building this car. So happy and proud to say that me and my wife and my kids built this car. We have touched every part of this car, and it's working, and we keep getting it to improve. We keep getting faster. We keep making progress. My goal is to be in M1 all motor. There's plenty of obstacles around Volkswagens getting in. We got to try to get competitive. If we can just blow right into the 11s, then we'll know we're on the right track. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next one.
Dad!
What?
We just saw a real butterfly!
You did?